Moving over to, well, look, Class L to me is Darienne's going to win it all, but where is everyone else going to shake out? I think that's a fair assessment. I think that's the only intrigue we've got there. Darien is going to win Class L. I mean, unless somehow they face Ridgefield in the final again and Roy does one of his things, holds the ball for, 80 minutes or whatever it is. I mean, New Canaan's gone. So, even that mystique is gone. Does Fairfield Prep have what it takes to knock off Darien? We're looking up at the bracket. They play Glastonbury. Dave, you saw Glastonbury play Darien earlier. It was a rout in the Glastonbury. Good program, not quite at their level. And then Fairfield Prep, Greenwich. I guess the question is, if Fairfield Prep can get by Greenwich, do they have enough to take out Darien?
And that's such a tough call. I mean, Darien kind of doesn't do it. It is. I'm saying it's a tough call for them to take out Darien. I don't know that I would go that far. Darien's just been taking it to everybody, even against New Canaan in that 10-9 game. They were, like we were talking about, they were up 6-0. So they come out of the gate against people, and they just like they step on your neck, so to speak. They take it right to you, and a lot of times that just eliminates these teams that are coming in as underdogs. You have the Darien mystique, and then they do that to you, and it's kind of like, it's a done deal already. And I think in the New Canaan game, the difference was that I don't think New Canaan, really succumbed to that kind of mystique at that point. They were able to come back, and it was 6-0, but they were able to get something rolling. I don't see other teams being able to do that.
I think, listen, Darien's got tremendous depth. They've got tremendous just pieces, defense, midfield, goaltender's probably the best in the state. So, I guess the only, Achilles heel is that they do tend to get gassed a little bit when they get out to these big leads, and it's just up to the defense and Demopolis to hold them off. New Canaan was the first team I actually saw that came all the way back and actually took a lead. We've seen other teams make a run, but they just don't have enough. Minikis is too good. Jamison Moore is too good. The Picornis are good, especially Brady Picorni, too good. I think, and then you got Erickson, those guys on the defensive side. I just think it's going to be too much. Fairfield Prep's best days are ahead, though. They are a very, very young team. And, I mean, you got freshmen, sophomores doing all sorts of things out there. I mean, Marco Fermender's goal in that in that SEC championship against Hand was ridiculous. Their best days are ahead of them, but they also have senior leadership in Mason Whitney, the SEC Player of the Year, and then you got the goaltender Sammy Cargill will play pretty well against Hand. I don't know. Do they beat Greenwich? I think they do beat Greenwich, especially at home. Darien might be asking a little bit too much. Mike, have any thoughts on that?
I agree with you there. It's kind of the age-old question of, at what point are freshmen not freshmen anymore? And right. You can pretty much include sophomores in that as well in this crazy year. And, if they play like they're not freshmen and sophomores, then they got a chance. If they don't, it's going to be a really tall ask. I mean, it's going to be tough to see anybody beating Darien in this.
I was going to say the other aspect of this now, too, is now these teams are facing a Darien team that kind of survived a scare. They were kind of rolling along. They didn't get pushed by anybody. Then New Canaan pushes them, takes a lead, and now it's like, okay, it's a bit of a wake-up call for a team you may say that didn't need one, but I'm sure Jeff Braemeyer's using that as a learning tool, and this team is kind of like, okay, now we're taking everybody seriously, even when we have a 6-0 lead.
With New Canaan out, Fairfield Prep and Staples, I think, are the only two teams. Unless Ridgefield, suddenly gets Kai Prohaska back, they might have an answer for him. Might. That's a big might. But anyway, so let's go on to the other side of the bracket. Obviously, New Ludlow beat New Canaan 8-7 in 2 overtimes. They will play a Cheshire team that has been up and down. They got upset by Hand in the SEC Division I tournament semifinals. That was a little surprising to me. This looks like a pretty tough bracket here. Ludlow obviously has what it takes to beat Cheshire. And then you got Wilton sitting there at number 5. They got to play Ward. I think Wilton wins that. And it's a matter of who wins that Cheshire-Ludlow game. Do you see Wilton getting knocked off here?
I lean toward them getting through. If they play like they did it at Staples, it's going to be tough for that to happen. But they have the depth, they have the talent, and if they piece it together, I think they're the best team in that quarter. Wouldn't want to bet against Lobo right now either, but sure seems like one.
Okay, moving down, we have the Amity side of the bracket in Class L, probably the weakest one of the bunch. Nary an FCAC team to be found here. You have two SEC teams, Amity Division II, the number 2 seed, and Xavier, an SEC Division 1 team, sitting there at 18. And then you have Hall and Newington is the other seed there. The Hall faces Newington, the 7-10 game, and Amity faces Xavier. What do you think of this one? I think this is obviously the weakest side of the bracket. Yeah,
and it's funny. I mentioned it's been a long day. I forget exactly where I mentioned it in all that copy, but you had on last Monday, you had the bracket as it stood, and it was like it was perfect. It divided the top 8 teams up almost perfectly, and and here we wind up with this one. But I mean, nothing against these teams, but it does look like that Amity Xavier winner probably gets through it. Amity got the Coughlin brothers, and they've been perfect. They're 16-0. Xavier playing a tougher schedule. Could be interesting. Could be fun. And Hall and Newington have pretty good years too. I mean, the CCC, and could be two really good games, and then one more to see who goes on to the quarters.
I mean, I would like Amity, but Amity got pushed to the limit, and I was a little shocked by that against Lyman Hall. And I thought the Coughlin brothers, who are great. Let's be honest, they are. I mean, Patrick Coughlin is a freshman. I can't wait to watch him as we go forward here. And obviously, Jack, we get him for another year after this, but Jack's going to Navy. Jack's probably the best player in this side of the bracket. That's not a stretch to say, and Pat's probably right there with him. But, that Xavier game is going to be tough. I think Xavier just has a little bit more depth overall. I mean, it's going to take an unworldly effort by the Coughlins. And then you have Hall, Newington sitting there. And I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards Xavier in this one, guys. Looking over at the other bracket, you have number 3 Staples versus number 14 Ridgefield. Oh, my God. The last time these two teams played, Staples needed a late rally and then a turnover just to close it out. Aiden Best played great in that game, and so did Kozakowski, the goalie. I think they're great. I mean, their dismantling of Wilton really was an eye-opener. I don't know what Ridgefield's situation is. I mean, they can beat Staples for sure, but then they can also get mercy ruled by Staples. We've seen that. On the other side, you have 6 Simsbury versus 11 Newtown. I don't think either of those teams has got what it takes to either take down either Ridgefield or Staples. I like Staples coming out of this. I don't think that's much of a stretch.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think Staples is. I think they squeak by in a tough first round game, and then just kind of glide into the semis.
Okay, so I mean, look, Darien. I like Darien Staples rematch here. In the Class L championship. Maybe Staples. Listen, Staples realizes what they were kind of ran into a little bit buzzsaw. Maybe they got a little too confident after beating up Wilton like that. Maybe they got ahead of themselves. I think this would be a nice humbling experience, especially playing a tough team like Ridgefield. But then again, maybe Ridgefield's got a few tricks up their sleeves, and they've been really quiet since bowing out of the FCAC tournament. Darien, they didn't play terribly against Darien in that game, that FCAC semifinal. But, Ridgefield, we keep waiting for them to really just explode and show us something. But, obviously the Prohaska injury has been tough. I don't think that they're going to advance past Staples. But like I said, you never know. I think whoever wins that game, though, however, will go to the final and get a crack at Darien in the state championship. But, as I said, Darien is tough.